screwed up people everywhere, but I ain't got time to care. I feel lovely. As long as I feel lovely, yeah. It ain't just a problem with society, and it don't affect me, and I feel lovely. As long as I feel lovely, yeah. Alright, what's up, yins guys? Time for another video, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and post this with my very bad singing of a classic song, which I used to make my point here, because I want to talk about how, you know how everybody's putting on social media, Facebook and all that, and I'm not putting it down, the thing that they're talking about. It's okay to not be okay. Not a damn thing wrong with it. I'm not saying there is. But just like when I listened to Jim Quinn on FM radio back in the day when I worked in a certain factory, when he was on FM radio, he had this thing about Quinn's Law. Anything that's created is, anything that's actually done by certain people, liberals or whatever, or certain people, actually generates the opposite of intent. Well, which that is why, the reason for that is because what really is supposed to be their intent ain't really their intent. You kind of question the motives. And for example, the thing about it's okay to be not okay, that's supposed to be designed for people that maybe, if you're thinking about doing something stupid that, like you see on the news, yes, by all means, go get help. But then there's another side of that that's beyond common sense, that where they want to mainstream the not being okay. Almost the kind of person that would be at certain churches and they go at the altar at prayer and be all crying at the altar. You know how people go to the altar in some of these churches, and you're not putting all of them down, but the idea of coming to the altar and pray, and then there's people who are all bawling and crying over their sins, which is a little bit freaking ridiculous. In a sense, you're not totally putting it down, but you got, how come that stuff always attracts the people that want to get attention? There's some people reluctant to then that makes people more reluctant to go down there. I ain't joining them idiots, you know what I mean? But yeah, so anyway, you'll get the secular version of that it's okay to be not okay, and then you'll get the religious version of that. And there's good reasons for it, but people have a tendency to mainstream it and turn it into a peer pressure, that if you're okay, there's something wrong with you. And you know what I mean? Unlike what it's designed for, they're mainstreaming it, and then mainstreaming a certain aspect of that, and making it a peer pressure, like there's something wrong with you for not being okay. And in a lot of cases, since a lot of people that are in charge of handling the people and coddling the people that are not okay for whatever reasons, it's big business. So of course, when it becomes big business for people to not be okay, right? The ones who have the biggest social gain or gratification or financial gain for people not being okay, they're the ones that are going to encourage the accusation of other people. Say you walk around with your head too high and all that stuff. And if you're a person that regards occasionally feeling like shit or whatever as a thing that passes, as a part of life that you get over, you're some kind of asshole. Or they'll even compare it with being criminally insane, or compare it with, or categorize it as psychopathy. Like I seen, like I said, a thing on like Kelly and Ryan on like about a year ago or 2 years ago, on, or if you're moved by you're not emotional about a particular thing, or moved by something, or outright calling it, if you're not moved by a particular thing, or you're not feeling the right emotion, outright calling it psychopathy. And I had no problem with Kelly and Ryan or whatever, but I was like laughing at that. But yeah, there was also on the song I was singing to you too. Yeah, screwed up people everywhere. I don't got time to care. I feel lovely. Long as I feel lovely, that's that classics, classic metal, even though the band sounds a little bit of a negative name, you don't want to, you take their title with a grain of salt, Suicidal Tendencies, but they also have a song called, well, in one of their songs, You Can't Bring Me Down, they, the lead singer says, just because you don't like something doesn't mean it ain't no good. Well, just because you don't understand something that's going on don't make no sense. Just because you don't like it don't mean no good. And oh, and and this ain't no Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Can you say feel like shit? Yeah, maybe sometimes I do feel like maybe sometimes I do feel like shit, but I'd rather feel like shit than be full of shit. And if I offended you, maybe you need to be offended. And yeah, here's my apology. And one more thing, fuck you, because you can't bring me down. But anyway, I say the it's okay to not be okay thing. It has its purpose and it has good intentions. The people that created it, that thing has good intentions. They have genuine concerns, like about people, like the shit you see on the news. People doing shit they shouldn't. Some asshole that wakes up hating the world. Maybe before when he's about to do something, maybe should go to get help. But if the news is full of shit like that, and if you're going to do something like that, by all means, go get help. You're not okay, or don't want to be like, the Sylvester Stallone movie in Cobra, about the one guy they went after. Yeah, any idea on the guy? Sylvester Stallone, to his partner, any idea on the guy? And his partner goes, just some asshole that woke up hating the world, So you see that on the news every day, there's people like that. If they're not okay, they got a problem, go get help. Or I don't believe in the use of these meds, the way they're pushing it on people. Even though I'm not a Scientologist, I believe in that website that's called An Industry of Death. And when I was looking at that, I didn't even know they were tied with Scientology. But even though I'm a Scientologist, yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that they're giving to people and give too much of it, and people will abuse it or whatever, and that shit'll kill you too. But by all means, if you're somebody that's gonna do something bad, some people that need that shit rather than do something bad, by all means. But I don't believe in them pushing that shit on people for stupid shit. That's big business too. That should be looked into, just like they're looking into the opioid crisis and indicting certain people. I mean, anyway, there's a thing about induced psychosis and induced not okayness. There's people that make a lot of money by you not being okay, or they get a lot of gratification or attention. Their intention is to get themselves attention. Okay, so my little verbal slip up there, turning into a pun. What the fuck, you know what I mean? But yeah, and that goes arm in arm. If I want to be sarcastic with some of the other people that didn't like a few videos I think that I generate, and express certain opinions that are kind of true in circumstances, telling me I should get help or get a neurologist or whatever. Oh, those people, I don't know, might be supporting that garbage, or they can even be bots supporting that garbage or whatever. But man, I told a lot of people, you're the best cure for not being okay is walking around with a cocky look on your face with your nose up and and with a cocky look on your face and a cocky smirk on your face, you know what I mean, or whatever. But even that one song, actually, I heard it on a classic episode of the Casey Kasem Top 10, that Keep On Smiling, or whatever. Man was called Wet Willie, but yeah, you're hanging out at the local bar, and you're trying to figure out who the hell you are. Are you a farmer? Or are you a star? Anyway, he was calling, they were singing in the lyrics, keep on smiling, laughing at the pain and laughing at, your troubles or whatever. If you can't have a sense of humor, or if you can't have a smugness or cockiness and laugh at yourself along with other people, want to laugh at other people and laugh at yourself too. If you can't laugh at yourself once in a while, then maybe you do have a problem. And if every damn thing triggers you or whatever, Then they want to, people out want to mainstream other bullshit too. That certain ways you're not allowed to be, every little thing make you walk on eggshells. Ways you're not allowed to be, your own freedoms or whatever. Teach you to be worried or concerned that somebody else is going to be triggered over the stupidest shit you do in your own life that doesn't bother anybody. I mean, there's obvious shit that you don't want to do around people, like on purpose. There are people that, fuck, ever since you were a kid in school, there were people that deliberately want to trigger people or antagonize people. That's what they call fucking life. There are people that overdo it. There are people out there, and you get older and you get into hostile work environments and people that play their backhanded bullshit games or whatever, which is life. And hey, you got people out there that, if they could, they want to push people off the deep end or over the edge or whatever. Or there's some people that just don't care either way. They just want to be whatever they want to be, But if you're going to be that triggered about every little thing somebody says, of course, you decide better go get some help. Not even therapy or meds either. Maybe a certain type of counseling that involves I don't know, about life and human nature, that you can't really, like, say, medicate away, or you can't. The only real, like, say, therapy or what have you is maybe educating yourself about human behavior, and not like those other motherfuckers are trying to tell you to go educate yourself with their garbage about how you should be about somebody a different color as you, or somebody who identifies as whatever that. You don't got to educate yourself. I mean, you just do the right thing and don't harass them or murder them or any kind of shit like that. And then if you're not into doing that, then you're okay. Then you don't gotta fucking educate yourself, and you don't gotta arrange your whole life around some people that you don't even know because somebody says so. The best way to educate yourself is educate yourself about human nature, about the human nature of people wanting to antagonize others that might try to antagonize you or push you over the edge, or people out there looking to do shit or say shit, looking to go off on somebody. You know how in some cases you don't say anything back even though you want to. Yeah, they're looking to go off on somebody. So one guy I saw on YouTube, I know this is a little off the subject too, but it relates because all these things that people choose to not be okay, worry about, is the reason why they're not okay is they're not maybe equipped and educated with the right ways to handle people out there in the world of all kinds. Like I said, there was a guy on YouTube, even though it was like a self-defense video, that instead of physically self-defense, he was talking about an aspect of, even if you can do something, there's times it's better not to pretend to look at your iPad on the bus. Obviously, somebody running his mouth real loud and talking to himself. They're looking for somebody to they're looking for you or somebody to look at them and say, "Hey, what's your problem?" Because they're looking for an excuse to go off on somebody or whatever. Obviously, that person is the one that's not okay. But if you're on the other end of that, in your own mind, rolling your eyes and don't want to say anything to him, or let somebody else get into physical altercation to say something to him, that person's not okay. But then there's that person that's never okay. Every little thing makes them depressed. Every little thing makes them want to have a cigarette. And almost like a version of my mother, I think, on one of her worst days. Or that that friend that you worked with, sex wife, that blames him for everything and all that. Yeah, those are the kind of people that don't want to be okay. They choose to not be okay. Yeah, I know some of you guys probably have a lot of stories about that friend of yours that you worked with, or some friend somewhere is ex-wife. That's a classic reflection of that, and they call them Karens in some cases too. The ones that or so and so's mother or whatever. You know, yeah, a friend of yours' mother or some relative of yours and all that. Which yeah, if you're to walk around with your head too high, you're oh, you're also insensitive and you're some kind of asshole and you're the one that needs help because you're insensitive. Um, and oh yeah, you'll be also called insensitive, like since these people that uh, want to not be okay all the time, they think the whole world revolves around them, and anything that makes them triggered is you should stop. I mean, shit. You let that keep right on going and going. You know, you'll get strangers like that on the street, being not okay for every little thing and triggered for everything. There'd be seeing one of them walk by on the street. You're walking around with a cocky look inside. Oh, your shoes trigger them or something. Oh, you better change your shoes. You know, and they might. And too many of the people that coddle these people get too many of them getting in politics and wanting to make laws. I think it's all pretty creepy. That not like you're not set out to pick on people that are not okay or make fun of them. There's different levels of them. That they're not all bad people, but you're not talking about that and being insensitive, as you call it. I mean, but it becomes a problem and something that you've got to say something about around other people. You got to stand up and say something. When it becomes, these people become a problem. They're not all bad people. They do become a problem when the whole world revolves around them, and every single person starts doing more and more shit when they find out society and the educated part of society is, and it becomes political to coddle them and then turn everybody else that's okay into evil people, evil and insensitive people. Yeah, it becomes that's when it becomes a problem, when people start mainstreaming it and demanding and telling you how to feel about certain people. You don't want to make fun of some of them, but then before I end this video, there's two aspects of it too. The people that it's big business and they get a lot of gratification for being in charge of handling people that's being advocates for them. It's big business and big money. And then the other part of that dovetails into that is the people that are the ones on the other end of never being okay. They'll keep pushing the envelope when they're being overly coddled or whatever the hell, too. I mean, that's how these people are, you know what I mean? That's what a thing that's, I think you're seeing it all over the news and all over YouTube, whatever they're labeling these people, different kind of versions of Karens or whatever. And, yeah, they want to create an equity. I mean, say if you can lift 5 pounds too proudly, or you walk around the street with your head too high and not depressed always, not sitting around with a cigarette, like the head down the depressed thing. Or if you do smoke, if somebody you're watching this and you do smoke, say you can be that person walking with your head high, too badass with a cigarette in your mouth, and you might be considered some kind of asshole, being insensitive or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? But that's what the world's coming to. It turned into another handicapper general. You can be you can be guilty of a disproportionate, be guilty of a disproportionate or unlawful amount of self-esteem, and be some kind of bigot or whatever the hell. And then they'll bring racism into it too, and then because there are people of all races that are not okay, and it's not all their fault, and they're not all bad people. And there are people that are of all races who are okay and walk around with their head high too, which they have a right to do so, of whatever race they are. You have a right to walk around with a cocky look on your face. It's like a black gentleman I knew in another neighborhood. He was big on that. You know what I mean? You walk with your head too high, you get even harassed by the police. I had talks with a friend of mine of color about shit like that. So there are people that that are friends or other races of are aware of this shit. You know what I mean too. So that's the shit you gotta look out for. I mean, there's a line where these advocates think they're protecting everybody. Uh, that's the kind of shit that they're pulling now under the guise of actually helping or whatever, or wanting to help or whatever. They're pretty much there's a lot of people that wouldn't have jobs or wouldn't have all this public attention if everybody all of a sudden was okay, and if there was a cure for everybody's not okayness or whatever. You know what I mean? So